channel, or welcome if you're new here. Welcome everyone to part 2 of our little discussion on intimacy. If you didn't watch the first part of this 2-part series, then I will guide you to the card above so that you can watch that one first. If you haven't watched the first video, just as a disclaimer, I'm going to use the word intimacy as a placeholder term for the word sex so I don't get demonetized. I am making this 2-part series because I want to highlight the importance of sensuality, attraction, and seduction. Those are things that I feel are either disregarded or missing altogether from the conversation on intimacy. All I hear is that we can be intimate with whomever and whenever. I hear a lot of talk about how neither men or women know anything about their own anatomy or how to even have a good time in the bedroom. But I hear little to nothing about how, as a society, we are becoming increasingly intolerant of one another. And we have very little, if not any, respect for the things that surround intimacy, not even the act itself. And despite newfound freedoms, we're still dissatisfied, aren't we? And why? When was the last time you seduced someone over the course of a couple of weeks or even months? When was the last time you achieved satisfaction from something that has nothing to do with even the physical act of intimacy? I'm not even talking about foreplay there, okay? When was the last time you treated your intimate life with the same respect, diligence, and discipline as you would your workout routine? Or putting on your makeup in the morning, or even some sensational meal like a Christmas feast or a Thanksgiving feast. I'm serious. I'm talking like hours of concentration and effort for a reward. When was the last time you did that? If anything at all should be treated with such respect, it is intimacy. What I want to stress in part 2 is quality versus quantity. I am a proponent for quality over quantity in all aspects of life, especially in the bedroom. If you're gonna put effort into one facet of your life, let it be there. Why? Because intimacy is sacred. Intimacy can be transformed into a spiritual experience if you do it the proper way. Now, I would like to express here enormous gratitude to a woman named Bethany Vernon for creating books such as the Boudoir Bible. I'm gonna have a link to it below if you'd like to purchase it. That video, along with the testimonies of women that I know or scarcely knew, inspired this video. Bethany Vernon, if you don't know who that is a designer of luxury erotic jewelry and has been teaching classes on intimacy since I believe the 90s. The Boudoir Bible is a beautifully bound, extensive guide to intimacy. It's also very aware of our modern way of finding partners and how we interact with them. If you are of proper age, I highly suggest you purchase this book and read all you can out of it. So within just the introduction, we're gonna get into quality here. Within just the introduction of her book, Bethany makes it very clear to all of us that as human beings, we are more than capable of making intimacy into something much more dignified and divine than a hookup. The things that I'm going to be relaying to you here are not a secret, but I was also taken by surprise when I read some of the information. Intimacy is sacred, and I'm going to give you a little biology neuroscience lesson here. Our bodies are comprised of an extremely elaborate set of systems and organs that allow us to feel and process the transcendent, beautiful experiences that this sensorial world has to offer. There are 3 things, just 3, that I want you to be aware of. There's a lot more, but I would just read the book. Honestly, there's a lot that goes into it. However, what I want you to know is about alpha brainwaves, theta brainwaves, and the hormones we call endorphins. Alpha brainwaves are associated with states of calm. Theta brainwaves are associated with deep trance-like or meditative states. They're most common in sleep. And endorphins are the body's natural opiate. It is literally called the endogenous morphine, which means that it's a morphine that our body generates. These brainwaves and hormones all share similar attributes that are not only necessary for your own sense of tranquility, but are also key for transcendence. This is why ancient civilizations made ritual and ceremony out of intimacy. They learned that the ritual, which is a disciplinary activity, prolongs those states. As human beings, we long for intervention, no matter how brief, with the divine. And this can be achieved in your intimate activities if you're willing to put in the work and if you're willing to wait for the right partner. This is what I mean by quality. Before you even engage in an intimate act with someone, the spark of attraction that you feel for them, that is when the alpha frequency is initiated in your body. That sense of calm and tranquility, a kind of focus and harmony is released in you, even if we're not like aware it's happening. I mean, isn't that incredible that triggers a very important, very stoic-like quality in your body? Then when it comes down to the actual act of intimacy itself, especially toward the end, that is when the theta frequency is initiated, as well as endorphins, which just propels you into this absolute euphoric bliss and contentment. If you are not really into the person you're with, and if you just go right into intimacy without allowing the evolution of your desire, giving both of you enough time for the attraction to progress, there is no deployment of endorphins. The alpha and theta waves do not initiate. There is no state of calm or release. It's an empty, cheap trick, and it feels like one. And you sit there wondering why it wasn't that great. It's because all you did was just the equivalent of brushing your teeth or taking out the trash. It's just another negligible thing you've passed through in your day. Now here I feel the need to say that men will achieve the release, I suppose, easier than women, but their release is not elongated. And you don't want that. Both of you want an elongated release. Both of you want that state of bliss to go on for some time, like sometimes for a couple minutes. Both of you should have that initial spark of attraction where the alpha waves are produced. That's where the world just halts and you think, hell yeah, let's do this. Then when you become actively engaged, take your time. Feel everything, absolutely relishing in every sensation. Then the theta waves are produced. Toward the final stretch, that highly coveted thing called the little death. And you wonder why they call it the little death, huh? Well, now you know. It's what happens when the endorphins are released, when the theta waves are being introduced into your body. You die there for a minute. And women should know, we die for a little longer than men do. We get a lot more out of it. Of course, a man can as well if he's disciplined, but if that isn't incentive enough, I don't know what is. When ancient civilizations made ritual and ceremony out of intimacy, they did so by prolonging these stages and progressions of intimacy. It took discipline, concentration, and it has to be a two-way thing. They also focused a lot on breathing and other bodily functions, which makes sense why yoga is also a common route to achieve those theta waves and alpha waves. It's also why endorphins are also released whenever we work out. These highly blissful, transcendent mental states are also the reason why intimacy can become an addiction. It's a way to relieve stress. It's certainly a way to put things into perspective, making the world smaller, happier, easier to deal with. It's also, of course, the key to bonding with your partner. Those moments of serenity are the modes in which you build trust. You have the release of oxytocin, which makes us form attachment and fall in love. The quality of your intimate experiences falls or rises with your ability to be vulnerable and open to emotion. When our society fears emotion, vulnerability, and attachment, then it closes the door to our sex lives. It is the risk you have to take if you want your intimate experiences to be any good. Are we all on the same page here? From what I see and hear and have felt, just because we have all the freedom in the world when it comes to intimacy does not mean we are any happier or more fulfilled with our intimate experiences, especially ones that generate out of hookup culture's grossly oversimplified mating dance. I think we need to be intimate, less, with better partners. This is not to say that there is a number on how many of those good partners there are, or once you have a good partner, how many of those intimate experiences you should have. Do whatever you want. I'm just saying, let those good partners come to you. Do not look for them. Do not force yourself into an intimate interaction. Like I said in the first video, do not feel obliged to do anything. You should be more than willing, and those experiences should be treated with care so you and your partner can have a roaring good time. You should value a good lay, and you should steer clear of anything but. It's not worth your time or the surrender of your body. So now that we have discussed quality, we have to have a little conversation on quantity. There is definitely a stigma about how often one is intimate, as well as pressure to engage in intimate activities all the time. I see a duality within what I hear people say. Either you're a man-eater or you're frigid and too Puritan or something. And this is a bias women have about themselves as much as men have of women. I'm not certain where my personal obsession with promiscuity came from, or why I thought it was desirable in the first place, but I've always found promiscuous people fascinating, and I've always thought high libido was desirable. Maybe it's the media's scandalization or glorification of high libidos in celebrities. Maybe it's some archetypal fascination that we have with rakish qualities in people. And if you don't know what a rake is, it's kind of like the male equivalent to the femme fatale, but rakish qualities can be assigned to both sexes. But I digress. Because I have felt this way, and have even felt this unhinged, compulsive envy of the bombshell sex pot women, I know that I'm not the only woman that feels this way. But what, as men and women, we need to realize is that not everyone has a high libido. Not everyone is down for it all the time or even half of the time. I've heard of couples who just don't have the desire aside from procreation. They just want to sit on the couch in their Snuggie with a foamy beer and watch TV. And that's fine if they're happy. There's a variation what people believe is enough intimacy and what people think the healthy number is. And I say all this because too many of us think that there's something wrong whenever we don't want to be intimate. That's where the obligation comes from too. Now, if you're genuinely unattracted to your partner, or you may think there's something else contributing to your lack of initiative, then you need to converse that to your partner and figure it out. All that aside, you don't have to have a high drive to be considered cool or desirous. I've personally battled with my own self-worth and its relation to the frequency of my intimate experiences. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. And I'm telling myself this as much as I'm telling you. I have just started my journey in realizing what I think is sexy for me. What I personally think is regular intimacy, outside of the sensationalism of the media. And I suggest that you all should too. If you're happy, then don't fix something that isn't broken. When you obsess and fixate on your image, your ego, that's when your intimate life will suffer, because then you're going to start acting out of character. The enjoyment of your partner is going to be negated because you're going to lose the ability to let yourself go, to let go of your ego, your image, who you think you are. So please, again, let things come naturally. Don't feel obliged or forced. Now, the last thing I feel the need to branch out into from this subject is the problem with BDSM and the hardcore stuff. Being that bad bitch, that girl that likes to be dominated, the girl or guy even thinks that they're into the harder stuff. I'm grossed out even talking about it like that. This needs to be said. Please let those intimate desires and tendencies be ones that you actually have. That entire world of pleasures is something you should really desire, because with people who don't know what they're doing, it can actually be really dangerous. And your delicate little boundaries that you don't think you have can actually be crossed pretty hard. There are so many of us that profess that that is what we want from our intimate experiences, but that's just like an absorbed identity from the media or from a culture or group that you're in. Many people often feel that they need to absorb these personalities and desires because it sounds like you're experienced. No, wrong. Yes, I think you should know everything you can about intimacy if you have the time, and if you're interested in making your intimate experiences more fulfilling. But don't involve yourself in things that you don't personally like because it's what you want to tell people the next day, your friends or whatever. Intimacy is not about what position you're in, if you like to be handled in a certain way, if you sleep with many people. It's about the ability to form and cultivate a connection with somebody and learn how to refine that. You can be vanilla. Let people call you that. Who cares what they think? Half the time, believe me, you could be having 10 times more fulfilling interactions than people who are pretending to be somebody they're not. It's not a contest. It's not a charade. Intimacy is between you and your partner or partners. Everything outside of you two doesn't matter. Learn together. Respect one another. Be truly yourself in the bedroom. Be who you really are. Intimacy for so many of us has turned into this grand, empty performance where not too many people are really sure what act they're in or what show they're really in. I implore everyone who watches this to tread carefully and diligently in this territory, to learn about who you are and who your partner is in the process. And in my opinion, the bedroom is an excellent place to develop a firm hand for life too. If you have the guts to tell someone what you like or dislike, tell them firmly yes or no, then you can take the real world by storm, hands down. All right, I just want everybody to have a good, intimate life. That's all I'm saying. Life's too short. That's all I have to say for now. But again, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Please do not forget to leave a comment what your thoughts are. And please visit my channel next week for another video. It might not arrive on time, but there will be one. Have a great rest of your day or evening, week, Halloween, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.